No, you're very welcome back. This is FM104's Phone Show with Adrian Kennedy. We're talking about, well, a lot of you have been on to us already, about this particular band. Guns N' Roses are playing supposedly in the O2 this evening, and Axl Rose walked off stage after just 20 minutes. Where am I going? Sorry, I was talking to you, Eamon. I'm being told that he may actually be going back on stage. You've left now.
Back on, lads.
Sorry?
Adrian, we were in McGowan's. Adrian, can I tell you, I know of what I speak, because I sang in the Eurovision for Ireland in 2000, and I came sixth. Eamon told us my name. RT don't seem to talk about it too much, but I came sixth. I gave respectability.
Good man.
I know of what I speak. And tonight was a shambles. The sound was a shambles. Everything was a shambles. He's walked off. People are walking out, getting taxis. It's just a disgrace, really.
Now, I've been told that he is going back on.
He's going back on to sing to, what, a couple of hundred, a couple of thousand, I don't know.
But you were there and you left.
Adrian, I was there, and I was so disappointed with the sound. But, he's a legend. He's a musical icon, but the sound was deplorable, and his lack of, it was apathy, he suffered from it. It was disgraceful.
Okay, no, I'm just being told now that the show is back on.
The show's back on, lads. We're about to go into McGowan's for a drink.
So it's
live to McGowan's.
Pardon me?
Could you beam it live to McGowan's?
No, I don't really have a way of beaming it live to McGowan's, I'm afraid.
So what's the feedback you've been getting, Adrian? Has it been good?
Oh no, the people are going mad. People like yourself who were at the gig, who've left, they're going spare. But the fact of the matter is, even if he is back on stage now, it's too late for you. You're gone.
No, listen. Can I tell you this?
Yeah, go on.
3 or 4 songs in, I was with a couple of friends, Huey and James and Morris, and I said, guys, I'm not staying for this sound because I don't want to stay. I've seen the guy. I've got the trick. I've seen it. He's a legend. I've seen him on stage. I can say that. But musically, it was deplorable. You can't hear a word he's singing. And me as a singer, I would hone in on the vocal, and nothing happening. But he is an icon. You can't take that away from him. His albums are incredible. His vocal was incredible, but tonight he didn't do it in Ireland, in Dublin, and it's just a sad statement of the guy.
All right, now stay there for a second because Alan's not there. Let me go to Valerie. You're on FM104. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, how are you?
Valerie, just bear with me for 1 second. I'll come back to you in 1 second because our Jeremy is outside the O2. I believe he's back on stage, Jeremy.
He may be back on stage, but there's no one there to see him at this stage.
I'm on my way back.
Because everybody's left. I have Brian here from Castleknock. Brian, big Guns N' Roses fan. I see the T-shirt on you. What happened tonight at the O2? Hello, Adrian.
Hi,
Adrian, is it?
How are you?
How are you? Not too bad. Tonight was an absolute disgrace. A massive Guns N' Roses fan. It's been about 20 years to wait to see this band, and they come on stage. They come on stage about 10 o'clock, 5 past 10. They were gone at 25 past 10. Really, really poor performance. Axl Rose, during the song, in and out, in between lyrics, really, really poor. Very, very poor. Very disappointing altogether.
And did he get hit by a bottle?
He didn't get hit by a bottle. He did not get hit by a bottle. There's a few pints of beer thrown up on stage, but my God, I've been going to concerts since I was 12 years old, and this happens all the time. And professionals just deal with this. They just deal with this. I've seen guitar players dodge pints on stage, no problems at all. Axl was looking for an excuse.
Oh, there's somebody who's a bit cross.
There's an angry man in the background.
Now, come here. Can I ask you? Is there anybody still in there? Because I'm told he's back on stage.
Listen, we've left. We turn out, the house lights come on, and I'm a gig veteran. When the house lights come on, they're not coming back on. Stop. They want to get people out of there,
And would you say, from what you saw, did the majority of people leave?
I would say the majority of people on their way out. When the house lights come on, there was a massive upsurge in people just standing up and just going, let's go. Let's just go full stop, I've got 3 cousins inside there, and they're on their way as well. We're going down for a pint down the road just to calm the nerves down. It's an absolute disgrace. But, honestly, I was 11 years old when Appetite for Destruction was released, and I was a huge fan, massive fan of the band. And this is my first time seeing them, and you hear the bad reports, but you sort of think to yourself, come on, he'll pull off a good gig. He had no interest. You're in the O2, and it's 5 past 10, the band comes on stage, and they had no interest whatsoever.
Now, some people are even more annoyed because a lot of people have said back in the day, Axl Rose would have loved having bottles thrown at him. It wouldn't have bothered him in the slightest.
Back in the day, it would have antagonised the band. It would have got them going. They would have them hopping around the stage. It would have fueled their fire. Full stop. So can I put you onto the girlfriend? The girlfriend really wants to have that.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
To the major, actually, the music is. You probably want to turn back around. The music has just started there again. We can hear. I'm literally outside the O2 here, Adrian, and the music has started again. I think you should go back and see the rest of the gig. Go on, enjoy. On the way back. Enjoy. Literally, Adrian, in the last couple of minutes now.
Yeah, no, I got a few texts from people saying that the show is back on, which is a bit of a joke now at 11:30 at night. But
honestly, there's a Lewis passing me as we speak, and the Lewis is absolutely full, and I can tell you it's full with Guns N' Roses fans, and none of them look happy. And if just as we were talking to that guy there on the phone, a Guns N' Roses supporter walked by, and just to sum it up very crudely, he was so annoyed, he said, "Axl Rose can kiss my arse." He said. I was talking to a couple there beforehand as well, who came up all the way from Cork this afternoon, drove all up the way, and as they said, I didn't drive for 4 hours just to see a 20-minute set. But I can confirm, I am standing outside O2, I can confirm that the music has started again, but to what crowd I do not know, because the Lewises have been leaving here in the last 20 minutes and every single one of them is full.
And somebody just texted me, and Adrian, the quays are just full of people walking away from the O2. Maybe they should turn around and head back, but although people are probably really annoyed.
Well, I'm just going to run up to a couple of girls here and find out why they're leaving. Sorry, girls, from FM104 here. You're just leaving the Guns N' Roses gig.
We're working on it.
Oh, you're working on it?
We're angels and we're...
So you really can't say anything about it. Well, it was nothing to do with the O2, to be honest. What happened?
They told us that there was riots starting and everything, and it was too dangerous for us to stay.
Really?
Yeah.
So you literally left in the last 10 minutes, have you? And what's the scene in there at the moment?
It's a bit crazy. The band have actually come back on now.
They have.
And my understanding is, Jeremy, from what I've been led to believe...
Yeah, sorry, Adrian, go ahead.
My understanding is that the band came back on basically because it was getting a bit hairy in there. People were so pissed off.
Were they getting boisterous? Were they getting rowdy?
They were told that it was just technical difficulties, so they were kind of hanging around. We were looking out in the crowd, and it just looked a bit crazy. So
what percentage of the crowd was left there when you were leaving?
There's a good load still left. Yeah, it was the majority of the crowd. Yeah.
But you're getting to go home early anyway, so you're happy.
Thank God.
Okay. See you later, guys. Bye bye.
But anyway,
we are getting reports. Now, some people are saying that it was only one bottle that was thrown up on the stage. Other people are saying several objects were thrown up on the stage. So I don't know what the girls are talking about, saying the majority of people are still in there, because I can tell you now, every Lewis that has left in the last 20 minutes has been full. So a lot of people have actually left. I presume they thought that the gig was over once the house lights came on.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
But the fact that those girls obviously work in the O2 and they help seat people, I think they're called the Angels, isn't that what they're called? Mm-hmm. You heard it from that girl herself. She was told that it was too dangerous to hang around, so they had to leave.
Right, okay, well, so all the people you've been talking to, the difficulty is if you left the gig...
you won't get back in.
You won't get back in because your ticket has already been scanned, won't you?
I would imagine that is the case. Now, as I said, I'm standing right outside the O2 now, and I can hear it. It's blasting out now at the moment. So it is after going ahead, but that's no use to the people who left. There was people leaving that gig 45 minutes ago. The first people I spoke to leaving the gig was 45 minutes ago. It was a mother and a daughter from Tipperary, and the daughter was actually crying. She had been dying to see Guns N' Roses for years. Finally got to see them, and the mother was taking her back home to Tipperary tonight, and she was actually crying because he only came on stage for 20 minutes.
Well, look, I'll come back to you in a couple of minutes, but let me go to Anne, who came all the way from Donegal to see Guns N' Roses. How are you, Anne?
I am so disappointed and hurt with the fact that Axl Rose can actually treat people the way that he actually treats people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're in a recession. You know, there's myself and my husband that we work all hours that God sends. My husband in particular is working from 5 o'clock in the morning times till 10 o'clock at night.
And obviously big Guns N' Roses fans, are you?
Big Guns N' Roses fans. we didn't have a summer holiday because we're trying to put our children through college and through trying to set them up in their own businesses and one thing and another. And we really and truly got this one night away. Now, we actually had 6 tickets at €70 each because we had 2 for ourselves, 1 for our daughter and her boyfriend, and 1 for our other daughter and her boyfriend. And none of them could make it. So we actually had to flog those tickets outside the O2 this evening for €50, and we paid €70 each for them because our family couldn't afford to come and stay in Dublin for the night.
And let me ask you, at what point did you decide, well, I'm leaving?
We're actually staying in the Mercer Hotel.
Right.
We stayed in. We left whenever he actually walked off the stage, saying more or less that I'm leaving.
And did the house lights come on?
He was actually 2 hours late.
Okay, but did the house lights come on, Anne?
Yes, and I was dying for the toilet. I was really dying for the toilet, and I thought, I don't want to miss them. I was dying for the toilet, and I thought, no, I'm waiting, and there was no sign of them. And I went to the toilet, I came back, and an hour later, he still wasn't on. Do you know, there's a recession in Ireland.
Sorry, can I ask you, Anna, you decided to leave the O2 because they're back on stage now. That's why I'm asking you.
He's a total and utter bollocks. He doesn't know anything about recession. He doesn't have any respect for the people that are there listening to him, that the amount of money that they've actually had to pay for to go and see him. And in fact, he's the only one there, as far as I know, that's out of...
He's the only one of the original lineup, isn't he?
Absolutely. And he should be flushed down the second toilet. It's a con job.
And can I ask you, Anna, you're raging now you left that they're back on stage?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Proud that I left. I have a bit of dignity, and anybody else that's there should leave as well. He doesn't deserve the Irish support that the bollocks has.
Hello, Adrian.
Yes, Jeremy, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I can just confirm that I've just been told by a member of staff there that they are after coming back on stage.
Yes.
And, I'm just going to go up to 2 more Guns N' Roses fans and find out. Sorry lads, I'm from FM104. I just want to ask you about the gig tonight. You do realise they're back on stage. Did you actually go to the gig at all?
No. They go to the gig at all.
Why didn't you go to the gig?
Because they're a load of shit. We sat long enough waiting on the cons.
How long did you wait for them?
About a fucking hour. An hour.
An hour, and that was enough, so you walked out then?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, well, not even an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Okay, they weren't even willing to wait an hour and a half.
Okay, so they never saw them on stage at all?
No, they never said.
Because let's just, for people who've just tuned in, here's the story. Guns N' Roses were to appear on stage from kind of 9 o'clock onwards. They didn't appear on stage till about somewhere between 20 past and 10:30. They come on, the sound was dreadful. He sang a couple of songs, got a bit of abuse from the audience and stormed off, basically. And basically, from what I can understand, Jeremy, in order to appease the crowd that are still left in there, he was obviously told, get back on there, you.
Yes, he was told to get back on. Now, I've just been looking in the last 50 minutes, I've been looking at some of the websites where people have been posting up on, and a lot of people are very annoyed over this. To quote one person that posted up on a website about the gig, they said the promotions company have another Barbra Streisand on their hands. Now, what they mean by that, for those of you who aren't aware, is that a couple of years ago Barbra Streisand played a concert which was a complete disaster, and a lot of the people that went to the concert ended up taking court actions against the promotions company over it. And what that person is suggesting is that there's so many people unhappy after this Guns N' Roses gig, which seems to be the case. I'm not saying everybody is unhappy that went to it, but certainly all the people we've spoken to are unhappy, and they're going to take it further. I was talking to, as I said to you, those 2 girls from Tipperary, and they said first thing tomorrow they're going to get onto the powers that be and demand a refund.
Well, the reality of it is they ain't going to get one because the gig did go ahead. That's the reality of it. Sorry for your troubles, girls, but you won't get a refund. I'm not saying that with certainty, but if the gig wasn't over and they're back on stage now, you're not going to get a refund.
However, though, we were told as well that the house lights did come on. Now, once the house lights come on at a gig, you assume that
it's all over.
That the gig is over. So you'd be right to think, okay.
And somebody just texted in to say we left because he said goodnight as he walked off. It was Shocking sitting there for 2 hours, and if they are back on, it's after 40 minutes of storming off. Now, they are back on stage. We can confirm that.
I can hear now, certainly in the last 3-4 minutes, no music has been coming out of the O2. So whether that means now the gig is actually finished proper now, because I actually haven't heard any music, and I'm standing right outside the O2, so I haven't heard any sound coming out of there in the last couple of minutes, so maybe the gig is over now at this stage. Interesting to point out as well that as I speak there are Garda cars arriving down outside the O2 as well, whether that's general crowd control.
Well, my understanding is, Jeremy, that it was a little bit hairy in there, that the crowd were getting very agitated, and understandably.
Well, you heard it there from the girls themselves that work in the O2. They were told to leave or else because over safety concerns.
All right, well, look, we'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. You might see people streaming out of there in a couple of minutes.
Here's, if you just bear with me now, here's the first group coming out now. So I'm going, and as you can imagine, I'm just grabbing these people on spec here. So I just want to go over to one final group because I assume the gig is over now at this stage, and I just want to find out how long more he actually did play for. So just bear with me for 1 second. Hi, I'm from FM104 here. I just want to talk to you. You just have to come from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, we're back here. We're O2 Angel. Yeah.
Did he actually come back on stage again?
Yeah, he did eventually.
Okay, can you just talk me through, because there's a lot of confusion. What happened?
Well, basically, he just, someone threw a bottle at him, and then he was just like, okay, I'm going off the stage. He's like, goodbye, guys. Yeah. Yeah, well, he arrived an hour and a half late.
And then he said if there's one more bottle, then he'd go off stage and that'd be it.
Okay, so we went off stage. A lot of people left because we've been talking out there. Yeah. After how long did he come back on?
About 15 minutes.
20 minutes.
Was it? We're in contest, right? About half an hour to 40 minutes, like.
40 minutes later, he comes back on. What's his reception when he comes back on?
Yeah, he's booing. You're the real fans, but I don't care. You're still pathetic because you're booing me, and he was going to walk off the second time, but he's still on.
Really? So, well, the music is just finished now at this stage, has it?
No. Or he's supposed to play for 2 hours, but he arrived like an hour and a half late. So
he is going to still play more.
Keep going.
Playing at the moment. Yeah.
Now we heard reports that the crowd were getting a bit dodgy in there, and that there were safety concerns.
Yeah, they were getting a bit fired up. All right.
Like, were you worried for your safety?
Yeah, we got. Yeah. I had a bit of an incident.
But tell us about your incident.
We were just looking after complaints, and we're behind the desk, and the guy actually tried to get over the desk at me and pull me back into the crowd, like. But security broke it up anyway, so.
Okay, very good. Thanks very much. Yes, it is. O2 Angels. There you go, the O2 Angels. We're all delighted because they're getting
a half day. All right. Well, look, we'll come back to you in a couple of minutes, Jeremy. Our Jeremy's outside the O2, where a lot of people are left because Guns N' Roses walked off stage. Martin, you're on FM104. You were at the Belfast gig last night.
That's right, yeah.
And they did the same thing.
Well, sort of. Like, he didn't come off the stage till about 25 to 11.
Right.
And people were starting to leave and all. They were sick waiting for him to come on and all that. And people had, they had plans to get their buses and trains or whatever to get over. And he 25 to 11 and he finished about 1 o'clock in the morning.
All right, so he went on till all hours.
Till all hours, yeah. That's exactly what he done last night.
And was he good?
Brilliant.
So what are you saying to the people who've left? You should have hung around.
Maybe so, yeah. I don't know what way it was like down there tonight, but last night was brilliant up there, But that's the time he came on stage at 25 to 11. He didn't finish till 1 o'clock.
And
well, Adrian, sorry, Adrian.
Yes, Jeremy, go on.
Yeah, the music has revved up again. We're just getting this information literally as it comes out of the O2. And I've just been told by another staff member of the O2 that the music has kicked off again. There was another break and it's kicked off again. They're the reports we're getting in now. But it seems bizarre that the gig is still going on at 20 to 12 because, as you know, if you've been to a gig at the O2, normally at the latest they are finished at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, sure, there isn't even any buses or anything at this hour of the night.
Yeah, so I don't know what the implications of that are that the gig is going on so late. Now, there's several Park Lewises outside the O2 and there's nobody getting on them now, so.
All right, we'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. Regardless of whether the gig is still on, an awful lot of people left the gig because, well, Carmel, you were told the gig was over.
Yeah, no, they said security in there said that just leave, gig was over and we'd get a refund tomorrow.
And obviously, not everybody left because the gig is still on, basically. Well, back is back on.
Well, it's back on now. We left, it was a big, rest where there was about 20 minutes where nothing was happening. The sound desks, everything had covered, they were all covered up. They were putting up their gear and going. All the security staff were, pretty much making the sign, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
We asked them, they said, no, just go.
You were told you may as well leave.
We're on. Everyone was moving out. There was no way it looked like it was coming back on.
So at the point you left, you would have been fairly certain that they weren't coming back on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there was no indication at all that there was going to be the band coming back on.
And when you were walking out the door, you weren't told, oh no, they'd be back on in a minute.
No, they were literally making us go out, helping us along out the door, telling us to go home. And
nobody was saying, oh, these lads might come back on stage any minute.
No. In fact, no one even thought they would, because he would have just got just a really bad reception anyway if he came back on.
Well, he is back on. He's back on now.
No, I know. I can't believe he's back on. But I don't know what that means now about getting a refund.
I would imagine you probably won't get one because he's back on. That's the point.
We're not happy, and there'll be so many people there that are just not happy.
And can I ask you, around you, what percentage of people do you think left?
Oh, I would say at least a good 70% have left.
Oh, really? That much?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that was left, there's a lot of just drunk people hanging around. That was it. Everyone else is going.
All right, huge volume of calls on this, which means a huge volume of people left the O2, even if Guns N' Roses are back on stage now. Emma, you're on FM104. How are you, Emma?
Hi, Adrian. How's it going?
Now, Emma, you were also told to leave, were you?
Yes. We hung around for about 20 minutes outside, kind of wondering what was going on, because we still weren't sure. They said there was technical difficulties, and we hung around outside, and then there was three guys, the stewards that were outside, and we kind of said, what's going on? And they said, no, that's over, it's over. So we kind of had to go then, because the O2 car park closed at 11:45. If you leave your car in there, you're being charged €100 for the night. So that's why we left. And
so were you told to leave?
We were told that it was over.
You were told that it was over. Who told you? Security?
The security that was outside, yeah.
Okay, so you hung around for about 15 or 20 minutes outside, and security outside the door said, nah, you're wasting your time, this is over.
Yeah, this is over. And we said, you know what's happened? Obviously they don't know what happens to the tickets, but we just kind of mentioned it anyway. And they said, yeah, get on to Ticketmaster tomorrow, you should get a refund. There should be some sort of refund.
No, that's only a security guard saying that, in fairness. But the
the
reality of it is, and I think this is where you're going to have a bit of a problem, if the gig is back on, then the gig happened, late or not.
The problem was that no one was really given any answers to anything. Even when he was so late, if he had just come on and apologised, I think he would have won the crowd over and everybody would have been happy. But he didn't even do that. And, no one was telling us what was happening, what was going on, why they were late. Nothing was going on, We weren't being told anything, and that's what really annoyed people, But now I will expect definitely a refund. I know what you're saying is back on playing there now, but that is no good to us, when we're just about home now, you know what I mean? So
and when you were basically told by security, now I know they're only security guards, but you were told by security, you may as well head on, this is over.
Yeah, they said what we said, what's going on, whatever, and they said, no, he's gone, that's it, it's over. So you have to be able to get, you have to be able
and again, you reckon it was a huge percentage of people who left as well?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And there was people definitely getting rowdy, and some people had a lot of drink in them, and if they're massive fans as well, you can understand them being so annoyed, So I'd say the staff in the O2 really have their hands full tonight.
I'd say they will, and maybe that's the reason that he did go back on, to calm the crowd down a bit.
Maybe,
for those who actually stayed behind.
Or as he was told, he wasn't going to be, there was going to be a lot of refunds having to be given if he didn't go on, like you said yourself. He's not gone, he's not going to get a refund, but definitely people have to have a case on it,
Now, Patrick, you were even told by An Garda Síochána that the gig was over.
Yes, that's true. I was actually told by two separate people. After he went off, we were hanging around for 10 minutes after the gig, and went over to a security guy behind the stage, and we asked him, was the gig over? He said yes, and we started to leave. Then we went to the toilet and came back in. That's the Garda Síochána, who was inside the building at that stage. And we asked him, was the gig over? And he said, yeah, the security are starting to take down the stage. And then we left.
Okay, so you were told this is over. There's nothing to see here. Go on your way.
Yeah, basically that's it.
So obviously there were much more persistent people who stayed inside and weren't happy with being told it was over. So much so that he came back on stage.
It sounds like that. I only found out when I was in a taxi that the gig was back on.
Yeah, the gig is back on. Well, it certainly has been back on. I don't know if it's actually finished now,
I'm
but
very disappointed and annoyed about that.
So you're a disgruntled Guns N' Roses fan. Can I ask you though, Patrick, a lot of people have said to me that one of the reasons he walked on is because he got treated like shite by the crowd when he did come on.
Well, I think the main reason for that is because he came on so late.
Okay, but he came on so late, but was he treated disgracefully when he did come on stage?
There was some glasses of beer chucked on the stage. He wasn't hit, but was drink and...
And what exactly did he say to the crowd about that?
That was at the very start. He said that if he didn't stop throwing it on, he'd walk off.
And did he even apologise for? Did he even apologise for being so late?
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
No, that was midway through the first song that he said that.
Okay, so he arrives on an hour and a half late. During that hour and a half, there was nothing going on. Is that right?
Nothing happened.
Nothing. No music. No nothing.
No, nothing.
Okay. No announcement that Guns N' Roses will be on in a minute. Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. So he eventually comes on at 10:30. The crowd are pretty agitated at that stage. They're booing him and what have you. Some people threw up a few beers, and he said, if you do this again, I'm going to walk off.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And at what point then did he eventually walk off?
Well, I'm not sure what caused that. It was probably half an hour through the gig. I didn't see anything that caused it. Now I might have missed something, but just went quiet. He walked off. I thought it was a break, and I thought it very strange to have a break after half an hour. And that was it. Like it went 5-10 minutes later.
And did he even say, "Good luck, I'm off"?
I missed it. I didn't catch that if he did.
Next thing you knew, it was over. All right, I want to find out whether or not it's are the crowd at fault here? Is the crowd aggravating? Barry, you're on FM104. How are you, Barry?
How are you doing?
Good, Barry. Now you were thrown out of the gig tonight.
I was.
For what?
Literally, what happened was I was literally at the front of the crowd tonight. I seen exactly what happened. At the start of the gig, there was one bottle thrown, and he turned around.
Now, what sort of a bottle? Are we talking a plastic bottle or a glass bottle?
I didn't see the first bottle that was thrown. I think it was a plastic bottle.
Right.
And then about 2 songs after, there was a glass bottle thrown.
Okay.
And then he went off for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And then he decided to come back on. Everybody, half the crowd was walking out, and I was up at the very front of the stage. And when he came back on, personally, I was very annoyed. I paid 70 quid for the ticket, and I'd literally seen 10 minutes of a gig. And then I won't deny, I was sticking my fingers up at the singer on the stage, and next of all the bouncers come over and lift me over the barriers and throw me out of the crowd, and the Gardaí tell me that they can do nothing about it.
Right, okay. Another disgruntled customer. But Jane, this is something I was mentioning. You're in a taxi on your way home from the gig. And this is something I mentioned a couple of minutes ago about whether or not the crowd actually were partly responsible for what happened tonight.
Partly to blame because, you know, like they were late on stage, granted, they were late.
Now, an hour and a half is more than just a bit late.
No, they were late and everybody was annoyed. But at the end of the day, they came on, they played a few good songs, the crowd was actually really enjoying it, but they still continued to boo. And at the end of the day, Adrian, if that was me, I would walk off stage.
Yeah, I probably would myself now, to be honest.
Sorry?
I probably would myself.
Yeah, I think we were wrong, and I was actually embarrassed, to be honest with you. I was at the last Cat Stevens gig where the crowd booed as well, and they made a show of us. You know, I don't think.
And let me ask you, Jane. Okay, so Barry, are you still there?
Yeah.
What about that point that she's making? That the crowd. Okay, he was late. Fine, get over it. Build a bridge. Get on with the gig. But he was being taunted the whole way through.
I think the crowd was enjoying it, but there was 2 bottles thrown on. But for 70 quid a ticket, I don't think he should have done what he done. And I think the security were totally out of order from throwing me out tonight the way they did.
Well, that's between you and security. I wasn't there, so I can't vouch for it one way or the other. But
I'm telling you the way I saw it.
Okay, but what Jane is saying is that she's ashamed. You're ashamed of the way the crowd behaved.
Absolutely ashamed. Yes. Granted, Guns N' Roses were wrong. Axl Rose was wrong. He came out an hour and a half late. But at the end of the day, he started off well and he did perform well. But we continued to boo. What do you expect from him? What would you expect? The crowd were unhappy with him. Why didn't they walk out there and then? You don't continue to boo somebody because they're not going to perform if you continue to boo.
Well, stay there for a second because Niamh, you were also at the gig.
Yeah, hi Adrian.
Hi Niamh, how are you? Now, at what point did you leave?
We left at the end of the first half, it seems like it was now. What we thought was the end. When the house lights came on, there'd been a woman made an announcement about a technical fault. We were pretty cheesed off. I take Jane's point there about the booing, but the crowd aren't there for a €70 show to play ball. You're there to enjoy a show of a person you want to see. The guy strolls out an hour and a half late. He did it in Reading last week. He did it in Belfast last
So I believe, yeah.
And it's 70 quid. It's on a school night. My sister was there with me whose kids started school today, and she's, on her way home now after 20 minutes. And I just feel that the whole thing was so bad. The lights came on, we were told, head off, basically by the O2 Angel people you were talking to, that we could contact MCD for a refund. We'd 4 tickets with us, so combined, 280 quid. He played 5 songs. He left the stage 6 or 7 times during each song to have his mic replaced because he couldn't hear his vocals. And I was quite near the front. I was near the speakers. You couldn't hear a thing. The guy was definitely not his best. I'm the biggest Guns N' Roses fan there is. I've seen them a number of times before. I've gone away to see them, and the guy wasn't his best. He looked fat and old, essentially, but he was.
Well, he is old.
No, and that's cool. I've seen old people. I've seen Paul McCartney. He's old and he still does it. If you're not going to do it on stage, don't come. He obviously didn't want to be there, and I firmly believe the reason he went back on stage is so he doesn't have to refund these people.
That's what it sounds like to me as well. Or because those who stayed behind were getting so agitated.
No, the people who stayed behind were a bit langers. They were the people who've been there probably since half.
So did the majority of people leave?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what happened outside, which will make you just laugh. This guy is in his 50s, right? I've had pictures of him on my wall since I'm about 9, okay? This guy is a superstar to me, and has been always, even though I know what he's like, I know the stuff they got up to, but, he always said, kill your idols, and I feel like doing that tonight, to be honest, because I walked out. Few of us were leaving, everything was fine, we were all cheesed off going, that was rubbish. Someone threw the most inoffensive thing at the stage, like a Ballygown bottle. It doesn't get much lamer than that, to be honest. Like, it wasn't a glass bottle. Certainly there's no glass bottles in the O2, and we were all searched on the way in, so that's not true. And we were leaving and walking by the gate where the tour bus was. The guy was running around in circles, Axl Rose, screaming abuse through the gate at the fans who were leaving. Ooh. He told us all to F off. He told us to, I'm not going to say it in full, but F off, yous aren't worth anything, blah, blah, blah. Then he got down on his hunkers with his head in his hands. The guy looks unstable, frankly. The guy obviously doesn't want to tour. This is what he's been doing it's a pattern now on the tour. And I'm sorry I bought the bloody tickets in June. I've just been disappointed personally by one of my idols, but secondly, disappointed by the whole thing. And if MCD do not refund, it is an absolute joke. They have hauled that guy back on stage to do 3 token songs. I could name them. I'd say they'll be November Rain, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Don't Cry. So the poor guys who stay there will be happy they're 3 of the hits, and then they'll be told to shag off, and that's what's going to happen. And now none of us get our money back because he did play. He kept his end of the bargain, which he didn't keep his end of the bargain.
And let me ask you, when he came on stage, Niamh,
he came on stage.
Did he make any effort to say, "Look, I'm really sorry, I'm late. We had a bit of a technical fault"?
No, this is what happened. The support act came on, who were lame enough now, to be honest, but were nice guys and trying to get the crowd going, right, and played about 8 songs. Then they said, we're going to finish up now. They came on at 8:01 because we were all watching, because I was thinking, I wonder what time it's going to close. The guy told me the car park was closing at 11:30, and I was being boring and trying to think, would I be out in time, and didn't want to have my car left there. He said, so this band comes on at 1:08. They said at about 20 to 9, oh, we're finishing up now. Thanks for the great welcome, Dublin. You've been great. The crowd were in great form. He was even saying how great the crowd are. I know it was a bit of lip service as well. But still, the crowd were all cheering a really lame band, to be quite honest. And he then played another 2 songs. Then he said, we're just going to do a couple more. Then he said, we're just going to do a couple more. They left the stage at 9:30. They came on at 8:01. So the support act did an hour and a half. I have no doubt those guys were dragging up material probably from when they were 15 years old because
just to fill time. But anyway, so they eventually obviously ran out of songs and...
They ran out of songs, they went off, they tried to do this instrumental thing, getting people singing, and they did their best, and they wouldn't be my bag, but they were good at what they were employed to do. They left the stage, that was 9:30. This then, all this, tuning and the roadies coming out, the PA guy out, everyone out. Then someone was cleaning the drums. Like, it got that bad. It was mortifying. It was so obvious nothing was happening.
But again, what I'm trying to find out was, by the time somebody texted in a second ago to say all you had to do was walk on stage and say, I'm sorry for being late, we had technical problems, here I am.
Person's dead right. Or even not say we technical problems, say I'm Axl Rose, this is what I do, and you know that when you come and see me. He came out at 10:25 on the button, walked out and started with a song from Chinese Democracy, which was probably a bad idea because the crowd were booing. But if that's their set list, fine. You should probably come out with a bit of a bang. He came out with a song from Chinese Democracy, started playing, stood on top of the thing like God, doing his Axl Rose thing, which is what we all expect and love about him, sang a load of stuff, and then got booed at the end of the song. You couldn't hear the guy. You couldn't hear him.
But is that not very unfair?
No, absolutely not. In the setting it was, as that guy said, the crowd were up for it. Everyone there paid 70 quid not to boo Axl Rose. I've been
all right.
to more gigs.
Do me a favour, Niamh. Niamh, stay on the line there for 1 second because I have to take a quick break, but I'll come back to you straight after the break, all right?
All right.
6797104 is our telephone number. Were you at the Guns N' Roses gig tonight? Are you on your way home? Are you annoyed? Lots of people are. Although Jane is saying that the crowd were to blame. Now, on stage at this moment in the O2 Arena, and I know they're on stage because I've just been outside and I can still hear them, are Guns N' Roses. Well, Axl Rose and the remnants of Guns N' Roses are on stage at the moment. But it wasn't always like that. There's been a lot of hassle over the O2 tonight because Axl Rose walked off stage. Well, he arrived very late. He walked off stage and a lot of people were told to leave. Because there's nothing to see here. The gig's over. And a lot of people very annoyed. Are you more annoyed? Where was Niamh? He's still there.
Yeah, I am.
Are you more annoyed to hear that they went back on stage?
No, I'm more annoyed to hear that your intro was better than anything I heard. That's what I'm more annoyed about. Like, seriously, honestly, that was it. I'm a big music fan. I'm so annoyed because I know the reason that guy went back on stage was not for the love of the crowd or not to placate everyone, not to go, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have walked off, or you were a bit rowdy. It was to get paid. Like, it's barn door obvious. The guy's broke, doesn't want to tour. He's done it 3 times in a row. And he just should cancel the rest of the gigs. Like, it's not fair on people. It's, a guy's outside screaming F off at the crowd who paid 70 quid to see him. The only way you can show your dissent at a concert if something's going wrong is to boo. It mightn't be right. It mightn't be.
Well, okay. Oh no, Jane's not there. What about Jane's point that?
No, I totally take Jane's point
that the crowd were disgraceful.
No, the crowd weren't disgraceful. I don't agree with that. I agree that the crowd didn't help the situation, but there was a situation where he's the professional and we're the crowd. The guy's in show business 20 odd years, like he's in show business as long as I'm alive. And he knows what happened. He's played Donington Monsters of Rock, he's played Reading, he's played Gas.
Okay, so he should be able for it. Okay.
He should have just come out and said, sorry, I was late. Or, now I'm late, I'm here, and we're going to do a full.
Well, okay, stay there for a second. Let me go to John. You're on FM104, John. How are you?
Adrian, how are you?
Now, John, you're one of the people who threw a bottle at the stage.
Adrian, tonight I was insulted by Axl Rose and the remnants of whatever schoolboys he had up on stage playing with him.
But you knew you weren't seeing the original Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, but we thought we were going to get at least a few songs. I don't care about the rest. If Axl Rose came on stage tonight and belted out and did what he knew what we could do, we would have been happy.
So what are you insulted by?
I was insulted by, his stage presence, fat, overweight boobies, and can't sing. He was running around, he couldn't even sing. He came on an hour and a half late, didn't even give it his all. He never wants to be there in the first place. He was insulted. He insulted us tonight, Adrian, and there was everyone around me who was disgusted by him. And he was absolute. Tonight I seen Guns N' Roses die, and I loved them. I'm an absolute huge fan.
And what made you throw a bottle?
Just pure madness. I was distraught, Adrian. Absolute disgrace of what went on tonight. Absolutely disgrace. And that girl is dead right. He came back on just to try and do us out of a refund. Absolute disgrace he was.
And you were gone long before that?
I left the first, when the lads, first of all, there's no glass bottles in the O2. No one threw a glass bottle. Right. A bottle, look, a few things went on stage. These lads used to play dive bars in LA with spat on, pissed on, everything else. I'm sure Axl Rose was well able to handle a few things coming on stage. T-shirts were thrown at one stage. They're not going to put you right, Adrian Boobies. Right? And then he says, right, anything else comes on stage and I'm gone. Right? And then the lights go off and something else comes on. He goes, all right, good night, I'm gone. He's a head case. He's lost to Adrian. It's absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
And you make no apologies for flinging a bottle on stage?
I will never give another penny towards the Guns N' Roses symbol, name, merchandise, anything. He is a disgrace. As far as I'm concerned, Guns N' Roses finishes with me tonight. I love their classic old stuff. Absolutely legendary as of rock. They are rock and roll, and he can't put up with a few boos. They rock and roll, Adrian. Rock and roll, man. You know?
All right, let me go to Sue. You're on FM104. Sue, how are you?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, Sue. Now, what did you want to say on this?
Well, I brought my 11-year-old there tonight. I've brought him to Metallica. I've brought him to Foo Fighters, Aerosmith. And what happened there tonight was nothing got to do with the crowd. There are no glass bottles sold in the O2. Mm-hmm. There was drinks being thrown at him. He deserved drinks being thrown at him. He walked on with a huge attitude. He's a complete egomaniac, and it did shine through tonight. He made no apologies. He stood there with attitude. He stopped after the first song as if to say, you should be glad to have me here after paying what everybody paid for their tickets. We should be glad to have him there in his presence after waiting for an hour and a half.
But he never actually said that, did he?
No, but that was his attitude. After the third song, he was puffing and panting, running around, and he was angry. He was annoyed at the crowd. He was annoyed that the crowd weren't giving him what he wanted or what he thought he was due.
And do you reckon it would have all calmed down if he'd have come on stage and say, sorry for being late?
If he had come on and been in somewhat apologetic, or like I went to see Slash a few weeks ago in Vicar Street.
I believe he was brilliant as well.
He was amazing. Miles Kennedy had the flu. For the last two songs, Miles Kennedy could not sing, and he apologised. That was one of the most amazing. The crowd sang the songs for him. Now, I saw Guns N' Roses in Slane in 1992. And what happened tonight was an absolute disgrace. It was not the crowd's fault. The crowd was angry. Everybody was left standing there looking around. Nobody knew what was happening. It was a joke, complete farce.
Okay, Gemma, you were at the gig as well, and you describe it as a really horrible experience.
Hi, Adrian. I'm actually shocked. When the promoter came out on stage and said it's time to go, we were also, me and my fiancé were told by the lads with the microphones, the black jackets, it's time to go, head off, folks. We got outside, we went to get the Lewis outside, and there was panic out there because people were all coming out. The Lewis people didn't know how to handle it. Then we were told by the lads in the microphones, come back in. We went to go back in, we were told, no, you're not going back in, you're out. And that's it. I've never seen anyone with
so you were actually outside.
We weren't allowed to go back in.
Sorry, your phone is acting up there, Gemma.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we were told then, no, you're not going back in, that's it. Once you're out, you're out.
So the only people that actually got to see the rest of the gig are the ones who actually stayed inside.
And I was actually afraid to stay. You know, it was getting... People were booing. There was people drunk. They were getting angry. Like, it's not the crowd's fault. I mean, they paid money to see him. They were starting to get a bit pissed off by the whole thing. So I was quite nervous. I said, come on, we're going. Didn't want to stay there any longer. Then your man said, yeah, folks, come on, time to go. So we headed outside, and then that was it. Night over. 140 were down the drain. We couldn't get a Lewis. The Lewis staff weren't prepared for us. We had to end up getting a taxi, and then told, oh, you could have went back in then when we were in the taxi. Halfway home. I'm just absolutely disgusted. And as the girls were saying there, I've never seen anyone with a worse attitude in my life. Not even, I'm sorry, folks. Nothing. Not even a bit of remorse. I think he was happy. He didn't want to be on stage. He was happy to go off. That's all he wanted, to go off, sit there, and then come back on and then play 3 songs for no one that wanted to hear him. No one that would boo, and then he could go off and pocket his money, and we wouldn't get ours back.
And that's probably what will happen.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. It's tough. I can't see us getting a refund because he went back on. So. Like it or lump it.
No, I can't myself, to be honest with you. Joe, also really pissed off. Hello, Joe.
How are you, Adrian? You all right?
Yeah, grand, thanks, Joe. Now, go on, what did you want to say?
Still here, believe it or not.
Sorry, say that again?
We're still here at the O2.
Did you go back in?
Well, we were walking out, we were told with the guards to go back in.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, there's nobody in there. It's empty.
It's empty, right. And did you go back in?
Well, we came. I actually have friends down in Belfast come down. We were supposed to go up last night to watch it, but they come down here to us. And I feel disgusted.
So when did you actually go in for when the gig went back on again?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We were actually waiting outside for a taxi, and actually a bang guard had told us he's back on. Go back in.
So you headed back in?
We did.
And what was he like then?
Terrible. We're actually standing outside now.
Is he finished now?
No, he's still playing.
Oh, right, so he was so...
He's playing knocking on heaven's door now, yeah.
Right, so he was so bad when he went back on that you left?
Yeah, well, we're outside now, yeah. We're actually standing outside here in the smoking area.
And there's shag all people left inside?
No. There's
That's unbelievable. All right, Lisa, you're on FM104. How are you, Lisa?
Hey, how are you?
Grand, thank you. What did you want to say on this?
I just want to say it was a complete waste of time. We travelled up to the O2 and we were really looking forward to a really great night. We love Guns N' Roses. We were so disappointed that it took like nearly an hour and a half, 2 hours to come on. And even if they had been brilliant when they came home, that would have been excellent, but they even weren't. And then the fact that they walked off after 20 minutes, I mean, yeah, there were people booing and everything else. I can understand that. But I mean, they're supposed to be professionals. They should win the crowd over, and they didn't. And it was just such a disappointment.
And do you blame the crowd in any way? You're saying they should have been able to rise above the booze and put on such a good show that the booze would have eased up?
Do you know something? They're on the go that long, and they're such a reputable band, and everybody loves them. You know, they should have been able to win the crowd over. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all paid money for those tickets. And, of course, they should have been able to win the crowd over because we all paid money to be there, and we want to see them. So, I mean, if they're going to just act like assholes and just walk after 20 minutes, I mean, it doesn't really show, you know, the best kind of showmanship, to be honest.
No, indeed, it doesn't.
No, I would have stayed there and enjoyed the gig. I would love to stay there and enjoy the gig, but like at the end of the day, you know.
And were you told to leave? Were you told it was over?
No, I just got annoyed. You know, they took an hour and a half, 2 hours to come on, and we were just there, and we wanted to be there and enjoy the gig and everything, but, you know, at the end of the day, it just felt like the heart wasn't in it. They didn't even want to be there.
Right, the night was over for you at that point.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been bothered.
Do you know what I mean?
All right, well, we're just taking another couple of calls, all saying pretty much the same thing, I have to say. A lot of people so annoyed. Sue, back to the point that Jane was making earlier on, that she was blaming the crowd. She said the crowd were made it very difficult for them to perform. You were saying that's not true.
No, the crowd booed Adrian. You know, when he came on, the crowd booed. You know, the crowd were clapping to try and get him on, then they were booing. Nobody knew that he wasn't even in the building when they were clapping and booing at this stage. When he finally did arrive on, there was a mixed reaction. People didn't know whether to clap or whether to boo. And they did boo. And, you know, it was because of his attitude. And then he stopped through the first song, threw a strop, basically. Kept going, but he was you could just see he was so pissed off.
I mean, somebody just texted in, Adrian, professional footballers get booed when they play bad, but you never see them walk off the pitch and refuse to play.
No, it was an absolute disgrace. And in all fairness, nobody told me to leave, but I had my 11-year-old there and things were getting hairy. You know, the atmosphere was getting very... He was getting aggressive, people were getting aggressive, and I kind of went, right, I'm getting them out of here now before this kind of kicks off.
All right, Aidan, you're on FM104. How are you, Aidan?
How's it going, Adrian? Listen, when he came on stage, he was absolutely ticked when he came on the stage. It kicked off with one of his texts. One of his texts came on stage and he was trying to clip on something onto the back of him on the first song, in the first couple of seconds of the song. And he turned around and I think he gave him a clapper telling him to get away from him. And as he turned around, your man was going away from him, he took whatever was on his belt and threw it at him and fired straight back into his little dressing room after him. And that was the start of it. And straight away, that was within the first minute of the first song that he was losing it. He was losing it. Now, we were there.
But was he losing it, Aidan, because the sound was crap?
Where I was up, the sound was brilliant.
I heard people saying you couldn't even hear him for the first song.
I could hear it. No, I could hear it. Now, I was loving every minute of it. There was 3 bottles in total fired at him. There was 3 bottles. The first one went by him, the second one went by him, and he stopped mid-riff then in the second song, I think it was. And then he said, 1 more bottle and that's it, and I'm gone. And then the 1 more bottle came up and that was it, he was gone. And then we were standing there. Once the lights came back on, we asked one of the guys that was there, and he says, yeah, he's left the building, ring MCD in the morning.
Right.
That's exactly what I told him.
And at that stage, you headed on?
Yeah, and the same thing coming down the other stairs, just at the escalators. The fella standing at the escalator there, he says, yeah, ring MCD in the morning and see about your refund. He's gone, he's left the building. Now, I know he would be the biggest Guns N' Roses fan he could ever meet.
Well, I've had half of the biggest fans of Guns N' Roses who are no longer fans of Guns N' Roses.
No, I'd still buy a ticket tomorrow. I got half the chance. If anybody's the biggest fan, they'd expect that sort of show you out of them, like, you know.
You expect him to carry on, but you also want a gig.
Yeah, no, like, I was there in Slane, I was there in the RDS, and we were there in the RDS and he came on time. I was actually shocked he came on time. But no, I couldn't believe it. Like, we were sitting there, we reckon, for about half an hour before the lights came on, and that was it. Nobody was coming up on stage saying, no, that's it, or we're still trying to sort it out around. And we assumed once the lights came on, that was it, he wasn't coming on. And then I was getting argy-bargy down at the front, and we said to ourselves, come on, we get out of here before it gets out of hand.
All right, well, somebody just texted in fact, it's the very first text that I've got to say the gig was amazing. So
well, I was loving it. Once you broke into the song, I was absolutely loving it.
All right, well, I always like to give a balanced point of view on this show. Somebody just texted in to say the gig was amazing, so maybe he was at a completely different gig.
Yeah, all 4 songs.
All right, good man. Thanks, Aidan. And one last call. Eamon, you're on FM104. How are you, Eamon?
Yeah, how are you doing, Adrian?
Grant, very quickly, Eamon, what do you want to say on this?
I just wanted to say that I was at the gig tonight, and I was sitting in the disabled area with 2 good friends of mine, Damien and his wife, and Heather. And I was sitting beside, I'm not disabled, I was sitting beside a brilliant young man called Garrett, whose mother Deirdre had bought him a ticket 6 months ago for the show.
Right.
And he was really up for it and the whole lot. And I've seen Guns N' Roses more times than, you know, and I don't really care that he went off tonight. It was disappointing. But this young guy beside me, he was crushed. And I just think that Axl Rose has if he wants to be a superstar, has a duty to all his fans. And
well, sadly, from what I've heard from an awful lot of people and die-hard Guns N' Roses fans, he's not a superstar, he's a has-been.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, I think tonight he behaved like a has-been. He has been a superstar. I've seen him in Donington many, many years ago. I've seen him in Slane. I've seen him in the RDS, as that last caller was saying. And he was, for me, he was a rock star. But tonight he was just a bitter old man. I read the reviews about Reading and Leeds, what he'd done and the whole lot, and I'm not surprised what he did tonight. But it was just that young guy. He was a beautiful fella. It was his first gig. He hadn't seen anybody else, and my heart went out to him tonight that this was his first gig, and Axl Rose absolutely destroyed it for him. And I don't really think... I went to see Slash not so long ago.
And I believe he was in Vicar Street, and I believe he was brilliant.
He was absolutely brilliant. Phil Lynnett's mother was there sitting centre stage. He did everything he could to play some Lizzie. He loved the Irish fans. He was just the best.
Complete chalk and cheese. Yeah. All right, well, look, thanks very much indeed, Eamon, for your call. Thank you, all of you, for your calls. That gig, from what we can gather, is actually still going on. I don't know how many people are in there. We will keep an eye on it because literally the O2 is directly across from our studios here. We can see it from out the front window. So we'll go and have a look now and see if there's people coming out and whether or not they enjoyed the gig. But I did get one text saying I thought the gig was brilliant. So there.